Hey guys, it's Bree. Welcome back to #BSB. So in my last episode, I talked about the Forte MBALaunch application process. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my experience with the Forte MBALaunch program. Now we have a lot to cover today, so let's jump right in. Now, after accepting my offer into the Forte Foundation MBA Launch program, I had to pay my $500 acceptance fee, program fee. I also had to set up a Cronus account, which is the platform we use to receive our weekly announcements, submit our homework assignments, as well as participate in forums. And the last requirement upon accepting my offer into the program, I had to take a practice test. Once I completed those beginning requirements, I had to pick a date for our kickoff event. The dates for the New York kickoff events were late January. I believe it was like January 28th or 29th or something like that. Now there's quite a few things that took place during the kickoff event. We got to meet a Forte MBA Launch alum who shared her MBA story with us. We got to participate in a personal brand workshop. We also met our peer groups, the members in our peer groups. We sat in on an admissions panel and attended breakout events for hot topics related to business school. And toward the end of the day, we sat in a career services panel. After the kickoff events took place, we kicked off our Gmat module. As I explained in multiple videos before, there's two components to the Forte MBA Launch program. There's the Gmat module and there's the application module. So now I'm going to talk about the Gmat module. As I said before starting this program, I had never taken a Gmat practice test. And honestly, I didn't even do any real studying before going into this program. So this Gmat module was super important to me, especially since I scored very, very low on my first practice test. So in the Gmat module, webinars took place every Wednesday. And after each webinar, we were given a homework assignment, which we were asked to complete by Saturday, which was the day we attended study sessions via Blackboard online, to go over the homework assignments and address any questions anyone had about the homework. Now each week it alternated between quant and verbal. They wanted to spend an equal amount of time on each topic. After we went through all the quant and verbal topics, we then dove into integrated reasoning as well as the essay. Now my personal experience with the Gmat module, like I said, this was my first time really diving into Gmat studying. I definitely feel like the Gmat module was more advanced than I expected. I don't know why, but for some reason I kind of assumed that this was not a crash course into Gmat studying, kind of dumbing it down as if everyone was starting from scratch. But I feel everyone was on different levels in their Gmat studying journey, so it kind of was hard for me. It was actually very difficult for me to kind of keep up, and I didn't want to be that person asking a question about every single problem. So I kind of stepped back, took as much notes as I could, and revisited each problem or each review question or homework question after the webinars were over, the webinars and the study sessions. Another thing, I personally didn't feel that the online classroom was as inviting for class participation. As I said, I was very hesitant to really question or pick at every response that they were going over in the webinar, and I definitely know that I was not the only person that felt that way. There were people in my peer group that were kind of confused about the content we were going over as well. But with the online environment, it's not that welcoming to bring forth questions. Overall, I felt like I was behind in my Gmat studying, and I wish I had taken a foundations class or something to kind of prepare me for what I was diving into with the Gmat module. Now on to the application module. With the Gmat module, we had webinars every Wednesday. For the application module, we had bi-weekly webinars, still happening on Wednesday, sometimes on Tuesday if things needed to be rescheduled, but for the most part, it was every other Wednesday. During this module, we cover topics like school choice, financial aid, career goals, resume building, personal statement, essays and recommendations, networking, and finally, interview skills. Now, my personal experience during this module, things kind of didn't resonate with me because I was still tackling the Gmat. I spent most of my time still trying to get my Gmat to a certain level where I felt confident enough to apply. Halfway through this module, I decided I was going to wait till the following year to apply for business school. So because I was so focused on my Gmat, I kind of wasn't as engaged with this module as I should have been. To be honest, I just was not here for it. I spent most of my time studying for the Gmat. But I did make sure to download each webinar so that when I'm actually ready to apply, I can refer back to them. Another component of the Forte MBA Launch program is the peer groups and advisors. Now, as I explained during the kickoff event, I got to meet the members of my peer group. My peer group was made up of 3 other prospective students who are currently on their journey to business school. We were assigned 2 peer advisors. One attended Carnegie Mellon Tepper School of Business, and the other attended University of Southern California Marshall School of Business. Now, with the peer groups, we were required to attend monthly jam sessions, where we discussed the topics of the webinars that occurred that month, as well as went over the homework that we were assigned. In my experience with the peer group, I kind of felt like we were all kind of a little detached to the group itself, and we were all on different levels in our journey, so it was kind of hard for us to kind of be on one accord. That dynamic kind of really threw me off guard. Like, I really thought we were going to band together and like tackle this journey as one, but that kind of wasn't the case, especially since out of the 4 of us, only one of us was like definitely applying for that year. We had one person that was on the fence, and then there was me and another girl who had just decided that we were not going to apply to business school during the year we participated in the program. And then me and the other girl who decided to apply later, she was studying for the GRE, I'm studying for the Gmat, so we can't even study together because we're focusing on 2 different things. Another thing that I noticed is that it was really hard for us to meet up. Like 6 people, 6 different schedules, working in 6 different areas of the city, one person even in a different borough. It was really difficult for us to find a meeting space. And our peer advisors also lived in New Jersey, and my group members, we all lived in Brooklyn. So like prior to meeting our advisors, we had already decided we were going to meet at the Brooklyn Library at like 6 or 7 o'clock, and we'd be there until like 8 or 9 when it closed. But because our peer advisors lived in New Jersey, we had to kind of take in consideration their commute home. So we decided to meet at the Chelsea Market at 7:30, which for me and another girl, we got off at 5. So we had to find something to do for those 2 hours. And because after a while, the meetings kind of didn't really make sense for me to attend. 1, because we were all on different stages in our journey. 2, I was just completely turned off by the dynamic of the group, how separate we were. Like, we weren't really like bonding as much as I thought we would. But 3, because I could have been spending that time studying for the Gmat. Like, I needed all the time I could get. So now on to the one thing I consider a huge plus about the Forte MBA Launch program. Discounts! By being an MBA launcher, I received discounts from admissions consulting firms as well as Gmat test prep companies. Just to name a few, we got discounts from Target Test Prep, Kaplan, Manhattan Prep, Stacy Blackman Consulting, and MBA Mission. There were definitely a good handful of other companies, but I'm just not going to run down a list of all of them. Now, another great resource was the office hours. During the office hours, we had access to admissions officers from various schools that were partnered with the Forte Foundation, as well as those admissions consulting companies. I did not hesitate to take advantage of the office hours. I spoke to all of my target schools, and I even scheduled a few consultations with some of the admissions consulting firms. For the most part, I received inspirational feedback from everyone I spoke to, but there was one person who had to spoil it and be a negative Nancy. I'm not gonna call this person out or even say what company they're from, but I'm just going to tell you the situation. So I ran through my credentials, my work history, where I went to school, GPA, everything, to this person, and their response to me was, I need to be the Steph Curry of this NBA game. Now at first I was like, well, Steph Curry's the best. I mean, of course, I want to be the best at this. But then I actually like broke down what she was saying, and in a way, I felt like she was doubting me. Like saying I need to do a complete 360 as if what I have at the table right now is not good enough. At the moment when I realized exactly what she was saying, I wanted to go off, but I decided to be professional and be respectful, even though I felt like she was not being respectful. So her feedback is kind of like a motivator for me. Like, I'm not even gonna look at it as a negative anymore. You saying I need to do a 360 in this NBA game, I need to be the Steph Curry of this NBA game, noted. Challenge accepted. Because when I get into my dream school, because I am going to get into my dream school, I'm going to send her a nice little email, and I'm going to remind her what my credentials were, the feedback she gave me, and where I am right now. So overall, I believe the Forte MBALaunch program is a good program for prospective female students looking to go into business school. But one thing I will say is the program isn't as rigorous as I thought it would be. I believe it's because most of the program is primarily online. I would suggest that there's more face-to-face interaction, especially like with the webinars, and even during the Gmat module. I feel like that should be more face-to-face. I know it will be difficult because the program is like, it's a nationwide program and there's so many prospective students participating in it. But if the program or the coordinators could figure out something to that degree, like, I would highly suggest it. And I would also more so recommend this program to people who have spent some time preparing on their own. Because this program, yes, it's a roadmap to business school, but you definitely need to already be doing well on your Gmat, I feel like. Because in my experience, I feel like the Gmat module was only for people, only truly benefited people who needed to increase their score by like 100 or so points. I definitely don't feel like it's a program for people who clearly need to be sitting in a Gmat prep course. People who are kind of just starting off on the journey really need to consider taking a class, because the Gmat module, in my opinion, is just not enough. Now, speaking of the Gmat, I've been talking about that a lot in this video, and in my next video I'm going to be talking about the same thing, except I'm going to be talking about my personal struggle with the Gmat. This Gmat is literally the only thing standing in my way from getting into the school of my choice. Ow, that actually kind of hurt my knuckles, but it's fine. Gmat struggle. That's what I'm going to be talking about in the next video of #BSB, so make sure you tune in. In the meantime, make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up if you really liked it, share my video, share my channel with anyone you know currently embarking on a journey to business school. Leave any questions or comments in the comment box below, especially if you have comments about the Forte application process or the Forte MBALaunch program in general. And also make sure you subscribe to my channel. Those numbers really matter. Till next time, bye guys!